People can see you dancing. We are good to go. Good afternoon, everyone, and the first half day of day 3. What an actual whirlwind it's been this morning. Loads of great content, lots of stuff on socials. Delighted to introduce our next guest, which is Amy Nettleton. Massive round of applause. Amy's going to give an introduction into herself as we get into the session, but this is a fireside chat, and the title of this is Every Journey Has a Story. And Amy's going to take us through her career path that has led her to influence people like government policy. So, very influential person. She spearheaded a national marketing campaign to promote shared ownership. You'll find out more about that as we go through. And you're going to find out some great pointers and tips on how she's done that from the beginning of her career to be in that position of influence now and leading an award-winning sales and marketing team, and have your employers and team's priorities at the forefront of everything that she does professionally. So welcome, Amy. Pleasure to welcome you to commsHERO Week again.
I know, right? Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
So if anyone's got any questions or comments, please drop them in and we'll pick those up either as we go along or if we've got time at the end. So you've got a great backstory, Amy. So tell us, your journey didn't start as a leader or influencer as you are now. So just give us a brief insight into your career journey and how you've got to where you are now.
Okay, so the word here is brief, which I'm going to try and remain brief. I think the purpose of this, like you said, Asif, is around the story, and I think what we'll move on to is that don't ever underestimate that there's nothing sat behind and why people do what they do, and where they've come from. So really take the time for that. I think for me, as brief as I can be, left school, did my A-levels through quite a tumultuous time at home, was the product of really kind of nasty parental divorce, and had a brother, and still within has a brother that deals with severe drug addiction. So was very much in a different kind of domestic situation that I couldn't make the decision to head off to uni. Basically couldn't leave my mum and we couldn't afford it. So my option really when I did my A-levels was basically get a job. So it was one of those that just apply, and we hear and I'm from the housing sector, and we hear in housing that you fall into this, right? So I've been mapping this out, and there's definitely fate has to play a part in why you choose the paths and why you go through the doors that you do, for sure. First job was an office junior in a chartered surveyors, which was very old school, very old fashioned, which I loved at the time. My job was making tea, filing, photocopying, which probably half of the people on this session won't even know what a photocopier is. But I had the inevitable task of making senior partners tea at 10:30 and 3:30, and God forbid it was late. Okay, that was my most important role. I was there for a few years, and that was where I did my first degree in property and business. Thought I wanted to be a trainee chartered surveyor, but then realised that actually commercial property was pretty dull, and then moved into estate agency, which again moved into an independent agency, and I'm in Leicester at this point, so geographically in a very different space. I'm in Leicester and worked for an independent agency, and was very, very lucky and fortunate to work for an exceptional branch manager and MD of this business, who became my mentor, really, took me under his wing, probably became quite a bit of a father figure to me. He'd be the one that would always be there when I needed something and somebody, which was missing from other parts. And I started as a sales negotiator, never worked in an estate agency before. before, and at those times you had to ring out and try and put deals together, which again, very different to the markets we're in at the moment. And then worked my way up there to running that branch, which was the biggest branch in Leicester. And then I moved into the housing association world in Leicester at this time again, and was tasked with setting up and running their sales program. They'd never done it before. I was their first employee to do that. So my job was to come in and spearhead that and remove the risk and start from there. And then I suppose they say I was sales manager there, and then I left and went to Asda, and I've been at Asda for 11 years now. Started as head of sales and now assistant development director, but still looking after the sales and marketing. And LHA, Leicester Housing Association, is where I did my second degree, Housing, Communities and Regeneration. So I'm a 2-degree kind of gal.
2 degrees. Has anyone in the audience got 2 degrees?
They're both drinkers degrees. They're both drinkers degrees. They're both 2-2s, but they're still 2 degrees.
2 degrees. Okay, the only person I met who's done 2 degrees, but there might be others. Anyway, so thank you for the brief introduction into your career journey, and Astor, lucky to have you. So, have you changed and adapted yourself during this journey? Because we've got people of very different ages in the audience who'll be watching this live, watching this on demand, and also different stages in their careers. And so, have you changed? And if you have, how have you changed and adapted?
And not to sound like that real annoying old person, because I basically am that annoying old person now. Age has a lot to do with it. You do grow for sure. Your patience becomes something that you learn how to use. I suppose how I've changed myself is just slowing down a bit. I mean, early days in my career, and probably I think there's some guys on the call that are in my team now. Early days in my career, I'd fight with anybody, not like properly fight, but like, and I'd have an argument with myself in the mirror. Always thought I was right. Always thought I was basically, why aren't they listening to me? My point of view is valid. But didn't give any inclination, didn't give any thought as to how my messages or my actions were landing. And then got it all confused that, oh God, my passion isn't valued, where it is. We just got to channel it in the right way. I also went through quite a long stage, which was really tough for me, probably in that transition from when I first started being a head of, was that I didn't feel people took me seriously enough. I thought it was like, oh, here's kind of fun time Amy, she sells houses, and like, you know, all of those kind of things, because I am pretty social. I do like a good network. I do like a good laugh, and was really worried that I was pigeonholing myself into something that, would people take me seriously? Would they take what I had to say seriously? You know, there's so much that sits underneath selling homes, and especially now, you know, you only need to turn on the TV and you only need to look at how the markets are changing daily, you know, and now I understand that. I understand financial policy. I understand the impact of gilts. I understand the impact of the Bank of England and what decisions they make. And I understand, and I can horizon scan and be able to put that into context. A lot of that comes with, because I've seen it before. So a lot of that does come with age and time. But a lot of that comes with, I had a coaching session, and I had a coach once who, we did the colours, and I still am very yellow. And I was like, oh, but you know, people don't take people like me seriously. You know, this is all I know how to do, or this is all that I'm perceived to know how to do. And it was when I got happy with being a specialist in one area. It was when I got content with going, you know what, there's nothing bad about me being bloody brilliant at what I do. There's nothing bad about me wanting to be the best in the arena that I'm in. Just because it's probably not perceived as broad as everything else doesn't mean that it's not important, and doesn't mean that I don't understand wider things, actually, which what will kind of come on later around how you progress through that is how you get taken seriously. And all my advice would be, yes, I have changed, and a lot of it is looking at myself and how I deal with situations. And I think over time, you're always taught that people are really important to you. And I'll always say to my team, people buy from people. That's why we do so much what we do in Asta Sales. We really, really push on that. And it's so, so important to me. And I want all of my team to sit and to understand why they do what they do, and be comfortable with that. And that still drives them. My why hasn't changed. The reasons in how I do it has. My why still goes back to those days when we had to put my brother in temporary accommodation and nobody would take him and he was homeless. That is my why. How I deal with that is I'm engaged in affordable housing, and I understand how home is really, really important. And actually that's never moved from me, whether I'm selling private sale, affordable, or working within the wider ramifications of a housing association. So it's tapping into that. And it's really, really, the people around you are so important. And the minute I realized that I have the ability to support others and have the ability to watch their dreams ignite and build them, again, just gave a different depth and dimension to what I feel I'm capable of in my role and in my team. And actually your purpose changes. And now I feel I have more of a purpose to be able to influence and support that kind of next gen, really. That makes me sound like I feel like I'm over it. I'm not. I'm still like well young and well cool. The fact I've said cool means that I'm not cool. I'm 42, so it's definitely not cool. But it's around the people around you. And as I look back through my career, there's been specific people that have showed me the light in myself and showed me what I'm capable of, and given me the freedom to fall, and given me the freedom to make those risks and make those mistakes myself, because that's the only way I was ever going to learn.
Fab. And Emma Elston's put a gif in there saying, very cool, Nick Jupp. 40 is the new 20. So
All right,
there you
Nick.
go.
He says what, 31?
Alison Lawton, very cool as well, Amy. I think you've got the cool points definitely there. So that's been fascinating to see how you've changed and adapted, and I'm sure many people will resonate with that same experience as they've gone on their career journey. And it's fair to say within that time you've mentioned some of the challenges. Just give us a couple of those challenges in a little more detail that you've faced on that journey, and then they can be personal or professional, because ultimately everyone's the human element. We're always going to come across certain things, and it's not only professional stuff that comms and marketing people have to deal with. And there's been some major stuff. So just share a couple of those with us, Amy, please.
The challenges, and I think, and this is, you and I have had this discussion many a time, Asif, and we get asked this all the time. And for me, what you see at work, what you see on my social feed, what you see here is the same person if you see me in a bar, in town, or wherever. I'm no different. And that's my decision, that I bring my kind of whole self to pretty much wherever I go, because I can't not do that. I think the biggest challenges for me have been that, which I start to unpick later, is the responsibility that I felt I had at quite a young age when I was starting out in employment, and wanting to make mum proud of me. Still at 42, I would be, I still don't want her to shout at me, and still don't want her to be upset, and want her to be, oh, well done, Amy, good job. She still like drives me, the fact she gives me that look, and she still gives it now, and it still terrifies me. So that again, and I want her to know that whatever journey we've been on as a very small family, that I had the same opportunities and I chose a different path, and it's not her fault. And that's a key driver for me, for sure. Another challenge has been, and another challenge continues to be, I suppose, probably at this kind of age, is, oh God, you not had kids. Oh God, the whole kids thing comes up a lot more as the older I get, and a lot around, oh, you'll regret it. You'll look back and you'll realize that, your career wasn't that important. And people actually say these things. And you don't ever know. And the title of this this conversation is everybody has a story. You don't ever know anybody's story. And I think for me, my main challenges have been my personal challenges, how I feel and look at myself. I feel I've gone through changes around, am I relevant? Am I influential enough? Am I having the right conversations? Is it time for me to move on? All of those kind of things. But as we kind of come on to, it's around your why. It's around the people that support you and work around you and work with you. And it's equally, when your head's in the game, what you can achieve. And that's pretty powerful. And sometimes you need to take those moments to reset. And sometimes you need to take those moments to kind of drive you on into that next chapter, really. And the final kind of wider challenge, I suppose, Asif, would be around like what we spoke about before, around being pigeonholed and not feeling like people take you seriously. And my advice to that would be, you claim that space, you own that space, and you be the best you can be in that space. There is nothing better than somebody wanting to discuss something on a subject matter and you being front of mind because you're the expert in that and you own that, and that's fine, and you're fine to be an expert in one area. Just be the best you can be at that.
Amazing, inspirational. Emma Alston, I want to be Amy when I grow up, and that's got a
I
few
want to
likes
be
as
Amy
well.
when I grow up.
Well, Amy hasn't grown up yet, so so I want to. This journey has taken you into. I mentioned influencing national government and lending policy, and also spearheading the national shared ownership marketing campaign. So some of those, how do you deal with because you've been to Westminster, and when you're leading a panel of all the kind of main key people in a whole sector, and you're chairing that national marketing campaign with millions of pounds of budget behind it and so on and so forth. How do you deal with the pressures of those situations?
Again, it goes back to why you're doing it. And it goes back to, and the only reason I can do those things is because I did the work in the background the years preceding that to make sure that everything's in order in the day job, for example, and make sure that I can perform and show my worth in that area, building a magnificent team around me that I couldn't do. I couldn't be me without my team, okay? I couldn't go off and do these things if they weren't there. They allow me to breathe. They allow me to go and kind of explore and influence. And I think what you then do is if you build the foundations right and you make sure that you've got everything in order, then what you can do is you can draw the positives and the benefits of why you're doing these things back to your organization and back to your team. And they can see firsthand as to the why of what you're doing, not just, oh, you're just going out and networking because you want to. You're doing this because it's an added benefit. We're around the table. We're having those discussions. But the most important thing for me is Asda pay my wages. I work for Asda and I love working for Asda, and they're my main priority. My team are my main priority. And at points I did need to be kind of put in check a little bit of going, hang on a minute, great, you're great externally, Amy. And I remember my peer, an old director, saying to me a few years ago, you're great externally, Amy, you don't put half the time you need to internally. And that was a big wake-up call for me, because I was like, what? I thought I did. And I didn't. So my internal relationships are just as important, if not more important, than my external relationships. Managing the pressures of that is around track record, being an expert in there, having an opinion and a voice that's based on reality, that's based on data, that's based on fact, not just hearsay, having the ability to be available. And I think to do all of these things, and you and I have spoke about this before, I pretty much rarely am unavailable, okay? And that's by choice, but you can't build the networks and you can't build that influence 9 till 5 Monday to Friday and think that somebody's going to come and give you the opportunities. You've got to build those relationships, and you've got to put years and years and years of hard work in behind the scenes before you get those opportunities. So when you see people, or when you see your peers having and getting speaker opportunities, or being asked by kind of, you know, influential policymakers or government or lenders, in my instance, and different for whatever sector you guys work in, when you're seeing your peers on those platforms, never ever forget what work they've done prior to that to get them there. And the work that it takes to keep them there and keep them relevant, keep everybody engaged, but equally still motivate and engage the team that you've got back at home. And you are, you know, accountable to your boards and your exec teams, and you've still got a very stressful day job to do as well. So it's understanding how powerful you can be, and equally when you apply yourself, how much you can get done.
Amazing. And what would you know, you're obviously very passionate about what you do, and career is important to you. How do you stay motivated to continue progressing in your career, as you've obviously done?
I love what I do. I think I love what I do. I love my team. My immediate team, we're kind of just circa early 20 strong now. And I started Asta and I had 1.5 people. So that has been a labor of love of building that team and giving that team opportunities and growth. They feel more than a team. They're like my little extended family. And each and every one of them is important to me, and personally and professionally. I think I'm not always motivated. You'll have some of my team on this call, and I'm telling you, and you've seen me at times, as if I am not always motivated. There are times where I think, do you know what, what's the point? Can't be bothered. But then I soon kick myself out of that. And that's because I love my job and my why. I always go back to those early days of why I landed in that office junior chair at that chartered surveyors. Why was I put there? What decisions did I make to do there? They're born out of, actually, I've got to get out and earn some money and do a job and try and help and support my mum, right? So that why's never left me at all. And I still get the same pleasure now when I can treat her like it's role reversal now. And I think the depth and breadth of my networks is so important to me, and that keeps me motivated. The knowledge and the conversations and just what I can tap into. But I think around that, you've got to put effort into that. Your network is like anything. Your network is like a relationship, and if you don't put the effort into it, it won't grow.
Fab. And what 3 pieces of advice, Amy, to kind of wrap us up before I go into, we've got a question as well. What 3 pieces of advice would you give to our audience who are in 2 scenarios? One, at the start of their career journey, aspiring to leadership, senior management, and those who are in leadership positions today, but want to have more influence.
Okay, so if you're starting, for me, well, I'm going to give you 4 for both. The first one for both of them is tap into your why. And if you don't know it, find it quick, because that never changes throughout your whole career journey. Okay, so find that and realize why you're doing what you're doing. If you're starting, say yes to everything. You can always find out how to do something. Someone will always help you. So say yes, never say no. Do the crap jobs and do them willingly. Make the tea, be there, be the lackey, do all of those things. Nothing's beneath you. You learn so much about yourself and everybody else doing those crap jobs, but doing them with a smile on your face and willingly. Build your network, start to put the building blocks in place, and start to have those conversations, open those doors. And I think if you're in leadership and you want more influence, I think, again, your why. But don't think because you've built your networks that they're going to be continuing and they're always going to be there. You need to build the relationships. You need to make people want to be in your network. Be well read as well. Broaden your horizons, broaden your knowledge, broaden your ability to have conversations about things that maybe don't affect you directly but are going on externally. Have that broader knowledge of kind of economic policy, market policy, political policy to understand what's happening. And ask questions. I think once you get into leadership roles, you feel like you can't ask questions anymore because people think that you should know it all. Ask more questions. Ask all the questions, right? Because you don't know it all and you never will know it all. So you've got to be able to ask as many questions as possible and keep asking. That would be it.
Sound advice for people to take away there. So I'm going to pick a question up here from Nick Jupp. So what's your top tips for building a strong team around you?
People. So again, the skills and stuff is secondary pretty much because you can teach anybody to do anything. For me, it's people, it's culture, and both ways. So do they fit with you and do you fit with them? So have those discussions, and that team fit as you grow is more important with how skilled or how technical they are. So it's all about the people.
Yes. Amy, that's been insightful, inspiring. There's lots of, can we have a massive emoji, love hearts, rounds of applause, thumbs up for Amy because she's deserved it. So I hope there's been lots of stuff people have taken away from that. Thank you so much, Amy, for sharing this. And you can
already.
connect.
I thought we were chatting for longer than that. Is it 25 minutes gone already?
Well, connect with Amy on Twitter and LinkedIn. Her details are on her biog in the commsHERO website. And you'll definitely get a follow back on Twitter as well. And you'll find out if there's any people into horses, Amy's your gal, basically. She knows everything to know about horses and shared ownership. So I'm going to just a couple of quick announcements. I'll just give you an update on the leaderboard for our competition. Emma Elston, who's been in the lead for pretty much most of the 2.5 days so far. Annie Cooper second, Ed Thomas and Andrew Gledhill battling to the death for third place. And check that leaderboard. There's loads of ways you can earn points. You just got to click the tab and look at earn points. Visit the networking lounges, visit the exhibitor booths, and bag yourself some points to get yourself up that leaderboard. The prizes, the Amazon vouchers, will be awarded at the end of the week. We also have prizes during the week, and there'll be an announcement at the end of today for it wouldn't be commsHERO without Krispy Kreme. So our friends at Krispy Kreme will be, we've got some fantastic vouchers to give away. So I think there's going to be 6 winners announced today, and then 3 more per day as we go through the rest of the week. So lots of prizes and stuff up for grabs. I've got one question that's just come in, Amy. So I'm going to give you that. Actually, wanted a couple more minutes. So from our very own Kate, how do you balance building your networking, day job, family, and social life?
I don't know.
60 seconds.
All right. It just fits. Because I feel like I've got the priorities right. I feel like I'm able to do the day job and give that justice. And there are times when you have to reassess and reevaluate. But I don't know. I suppose there's no specific answer, Kate, because everybody's balances are different and everybody's family life's different. You know, I don't have kids to get home to and stuff like that. So I do have a bit more flexibility, but equally there are pressures on me. So I think it's just, again, of having the right people around you and managing those expectations and those people that, you know, those friends that you might not see or speak to every day, but when you do, they're pleased to hear from you and they know life gets busy. They're the people that you need around you, not those people that go, oh God, not heard from you for ages. You don't need those people. They drain you. So, surround yourself with people that want you to be a best version of yourself and understand that although your pressures may be different to theirs, they're still your pressures and they're valid.
Excellent. Brilliant way to wrap up. Amy, thank you once again. And I'm sure you'll get a barrage of followers on LinkedIn and Twitter now and Instagram. So connect with Amy as much as you like. So thank you, Amy.
Thank you very much.